If you're a parent or share a fridge with someone, Instacart is about to make grocery shopping so much easier. Because with family carts, you can share a cart with your partner and each add the items you want. Since between the two of you, odds are you'll both remember everything you need. And this way, you'll never have to eat milkless cereal again. So minimize the stress of the weekly shop with family carts. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees apply. For 3 orders in 14 days, excludes restaurants.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cash back really adds up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 112 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, what's going on?
Hey, man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and I noticed you're not wearing a flannel today.
No, I'm not.
And I really like it. I like it. I was getting tired of seeing you in a flannel every single time I saw you.
I'm just shirtless.
You just went Magic Mike.
Yeah.
To take the flannel out of the equation.
That's right.
So we got some really good feedback on our unsolved episode last week.
Okay.
The Cowden family.
Good.
I mean, obviously it was a tragic story.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people found it very interesting. I compared it to True Detective a little bit.
Right.
And I got a lot of emails saying that people got a True Detective type vibe from that episode. I know you haven't watched the 3rd season yet.
No, I have not.
But it had that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, obviously we want people to enjoy the episodes, be fascinated by the episodes.
It's important.
It is. It's what makes people keep listening.
Well, that's even more important.
And we need that.
We do need that.
So let's do our Patreon shout outs.
Okay.
We had Shauna Sutherland.
Hey, Shauna.
Tamara Steele.
Strong.
Maisie.
Hey, Maisie.
Who you say is a band.
Well, there's a band called Maisie, spelled probably a little different than her name, but
okay.
Yeah.
John Baston.
Hey, John.
I've been going back and forth in email with John, and he's a big fan of the show.
Okay.
Quincy Chiava.
Chiava.
Quiava.
Quava. Yeah.
Kelly Skinner.
Man.
Bree.
Just Bree.
I like a nice Brie.
Okay, I'll leave it right there.
You know what I mean? I meant cheese. Thomas Naganuma.
The Naganuma Tower.
I know that every time you hear that name, you think Die Hard.
I do.
The Nakatomi Tower.
Or Naganuma.
Jenny Says.
Hey, she says?
Says.
Or she
Or it could be says, but to me it looks like says.
Say us.
Say you. Say me.
Or that.
Alex Taylor.
Hey, Alex.
Melissa Simon.
Hey, Melissa.
Catherine Alkire.
Hey, Catherine.
Sarah Jane Jarvis.
Thank you, SJJ.
Rachel Cooper.
Hey, Rachel.
Petra Klingbill.
It's a clingy bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caitlin Quill.
Hey, Caitlin.
Amelia Thompson.
Awesome. Thank you.
Alyssa.
Hey, Alyssa.
Brandy Pace.
Keep it up. Get it?
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
Christian Rosenberg.
Yeah, the Rosenberg.
It's funny that you don't think I can get your stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's so intellectually up there.
It really is. It's challenging, man.
It's really hard to get.
It's tough.
Kellen Benatua.
The Benatua.
Katrina Lashansky jumped out at her highest level.
Lachansky.
And last but not least, Tuesday Craythorne.
Really?
Cool name.
Yeah. What if she does Wednesday?
I've only known one woman with a day of the week name.
Really?
Her name was Sunday Coffee. I always thought that was such a cool name.
I'm going to go get me some Sunday coffee.
Yeah, because what's better than sitting down Sunday morning and drinking your coffee? Now, you don't drink coffee, but for me, a coffee lover,
Yeah. You just couldn't wait to get some Sunday coffee.
there's nothing better. Then if we go back into the vault, Gibbs,
Let's go.
this week we selected Angela Reynolds.
Thanks, Angela.
Yeah, big fan of the show, longtime supporter, much appreciated. All the new support, the continued support. We had some great PayPal support. Breda Hale.
Breda?
Yeah. Jessica Metz.
Hey, thank you, Jessica.
Daniel Javier.
Javier. See, I like that name, Javier.
I know you do.
Yeah, Javier.
Sarah Richmond.
Hey, Sarah.
And Kate Massey.
Hey, thanks, Kate.
All right, right now on True Crime All the Time, we have an episode out on Eric Edgar Cook. Pretty vicious serial killer. Early 1960s is when he operated for the most part. And we're going to Australia, but to Western Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say Razor Blades.
Yeah, I know you were going to say that. And this one, to me, is interesting on a number of different levels. And I won't even give it away because people will listen to it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I like it. It's got a lot of facets to it. Let's put it that way.
I like that. Facets. It's a good word.
You can add that to your Gibby dictionary.
To my repertoire.
Or your repertoire.
I'll add it to both.
We did talk a little bit on TCAT about CrimeCon, doing a meetup. We're going to get some people involved that are going to be there to help us plan.
Right.
But we'll let everybody know. For those of you that are going, if you want to meet up with us, probably Saturday night, we'll do that.
Well, that's what we're doing.
I said it.
Well, bring your cowboy hat.
No, I'm not taking the cowboy hat to Louisiana.
Why not?
Because I wore it in Nashville. That's where I wanted to wear it.
They don't wear cowboy hats in Louisiana?
I'm sure a lot of people do, but I'm not going to. It'll probably be 835 degrees.
You just want me to bring my Duck Dynasty friends over?
Yes.
All right.
All right, Gibbs, are you ready to get into this unsolved episode?
I am.
We are talking about the Blackfriars Massacre. It occurred in Boston in 1978.
Did you say Boston?
Boston. Yeah, you have to say it that way.
Boston.
Matter of fact, it was June 28th, 1978, one day before my 5th birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Youngster.
My birthday is June 29th. In the heart of Boston. We're talking about downtown Boston. And it was busy that morning. You've got businessmen and women headed to work. There was a janitor at 105 Summer Street. And 105 Summer Street was better known as the Blackfriars Pub.
That's an interesting name.
It is. Actually comes from a Shakespeare play, Henry VIII.
Know it well.
You played it. You played multiple parts.
I have.
Didn't you do a one-man show where you played all the parts?
Thus these say, I say, they do, yes.
I would literally pay money, a large amount of money, to see you do a one-man play of Shakespeare.
Because of the tights? Why?
That's just a part of it.
Oh, okay.
The things that would come out of your mouth.
Oh.
You know how they talked back then?
Sure.
I don't even know if I'd be able to make it through it. I'd be laughing so hard.
It might be worth it. It might be.
I think you should set that up and sell tickets. You'd probably make a bundle.
So do Otello? Is it Otello? Ocello?
It's Othello.
Oh, Othello.
Did you say Nutella at one point?
No, I think that would be good. Nutella. I should do it as Nutella.
Oh, I think you said Nutella.
Maybe I should just do Romeo and Juliet.
Otello. Do one that you can actually pronounce. That would be your starting point.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's get back to Blackfriars Pub.
Sure.
The janitor there was already busy cleaning the floors on the main level from the activity the night before, right?
Oh, I can only imagine what those floors had to be sticky from all the alcohol.
Beer gets spilled and
all the Frank the Tanks running around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Spilling more beer than they're drinking.
Yep.
So this pub was located in what was known as the Leather District. And I guess you'd call it, Gibbs, late 70s, and kind of an after work disco joint. A lot of people went to this place. A lot of businessmen, a lot of women went there daily.
Probably a good place after work to grab a drink and do your Saturday Night Live fever, or whatever it was called.
Saturday Night Live. You tried to correct it, but it was too late.
It was too late. Yep.
That was pretty funny.
Listen to some Bee Gees.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing about this pub, though, it was also a hangout for the Irish mob. So popular with, a lot of people that were, we'll call them not into shady things,
Right.
but hang out for the mob. So the janitor finished up cleaning the floors on the main level of the pub, and from there had to go downstairs to the lower level to clean that. This was where the pub office was located. As the janitor walked down to the lower level pub office, he sees a frightening sight. There are 5 bodies lying on the floor. The bodies were of men, all in their 30s. They had been shot to death. And I'm just trying to picture this from the janitor's point of view. I'm doing my job. I'm cleaning up the beer. I'm probably not making a lot of money as a janitor at a pub, but I'm doing my job.
Right.
And now I'm staring at 5 bodies. There is blood everywhere. Do I have to clean that up too?
Yeah. Is this in my job description?
I don't think that's probably what he was thinking about. It had to be disturbing.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine walking in and seeing something like that.
I wonder how you get that out of your mind. I feel like you lay your head down on the pillow at night and close your eyes, and that is all you're seeing for some period of time.
It probably depends on how long you looked at it too, I mean, I think some people would see that and immediately turn away.
Oh,
but
that's true.
I know some people that they would analyze it.
I would. You know me.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, the janitor recognized one of the victims as 35-year-old Vincent Solomonte. Vincent owned the Blackfriars Pub. Laying next to him was 34-year-old Freddie De La Vega from Somerville, 31-year-old Peter Maroth from Jamaica Plain, 37-year-old Charles McGarrion from North Andover, and 34-year-old John Jack Kelly from Framingham. Jack was the night manager at the Blackfriars Pub. He was also a former employee of WBZ News Radio and a local television station, WNAC TV7, where he was an investigative reporter.
Yeah, he had a pretty good voice from when I did my research. One of those investigative reporter type of anchor voices. Not like a Ron Burgundy, but
Right.
It was still good.
Seems like we should have a clip for people so they could hear his voice.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Okay. But the station let him go. Jack started to work at the pub after he was let go from the TV station. So this janitor called the police, and police get on scene. It was said to be about a dozen officers. They were there on site pretty fast.
Well, I imagine so. Being downtown, they probably had a Boston PD substation downtown.
Yeah, that plus maybe the fact that they knew this was a Irish mob hangout.
You might say, we need to get over here.
Yeah, maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. When they got there, a pretty big crowd had already formed. One of the officers was quoted as saying that when he went into the lower level office, there was blood all over the place. All I could think of was the Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago.
Well, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, and that was big time.
Yeah.
So as they start to investigate, they're sorting out who these 5 guys are. It was discovered that 4 out of the 5 men were part of the Irish mob. The one that they determined was not was Jack Kelly, but he was thought to have some type of connection to the Irish mob. They just didn't think he was actually in it.
Right.
Is the way that I understood it, Gibbs. During this investigation, police found weapons. They found some marijuana, $15,000 in cash, a small amount of cocaine. So a bunch of stuff that you probably are not supposed to have. You're definitely not supposed to have cocaine. Back then, you're not supposed to have marijuana.
No. You could have $15,000 in cash.
You could.
I mean, you're at a pub.
Depending on who you are, you could probably have guns. Depends on what kind of weapons they are, though.
That's
They're
true.
pulling out submachine guns and things like that.
But all this was inside of a safe that had been open, or maybe it just hasn't been closed for the night, but it was all inside of a safe.
But not one that they had to drill out.
No.
It was not closed.
Not closed, yeah.
So here's what they figured out. The men had been playing backgammon after the pub closed. And apparently this was pretty well known. They played for some high stakes.
It's a tricky game.
It is. I don't know how you bet on backgammon, but I mean, you can bet on anything, I guess. So police had to consider that this was a robbery. But I think they had to look at the scene and see that there's $15,000. There's some drugs, there's some guns. If it was a robbery, would the robbers not have taken 15 grand in cash from an open safe?
I would think they would have.
I thought you were getting ready to say I would have.
I was going to say.
I thought you were. I mean, if it's sitting there, what are you going to do?
I'm going to go through all that effort. I'm going to go ahead and take the cash, the guns. I might even take the drugs just to get them out of there.
You've already killed 5 people.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Right, exactly.
So why not take the 15,000? You're not a good person anyway.
Exactly. I'm going to go ahead and just finish it up.
The police started to put together their timeline of events and kind of really what their theory was. And it was that the 5 men playing backgammon, they were surprised. They were overtaken by a number of armed men. Police, I think, theorized at one point, so at least 3. These men burst into the lower level around 2 a.m. And I think where the 3 men theory comes in, number 1, the number of murder weapons. And then number 2, the way that the room had to be controlled, right? There's 5 men.
Yeah, you're working that room to keep it under control. I mean, if you got 4, maybe 5 guys that are part of a mob, they know how to handle themselves.
That's what I was going to say. So you're not busting in on 5 stockmen working at the Walmart.
No.
These are 5 killers, most likely, at least mobbed up guys.
Sure.
Chances are they've killed a guy or 2 in their time.
They definitely know something.
They know how to handle themselves.
Exactly.
So these armed men forced the 5 away from the backgammon tables, forced them all together into that manager's office. This is all theory, right? This is what the police theorized. Once in the room, the armed men opened fire. They used a couple of shotguns and a .25 caliber semi-automatic handgun. So that's where the number of guns comes in.
Right.
Probably need at least 3 people to use 3 different guns. Jack Kelly was found shot twice in the head, laying face down, and the other 4 men were all killed by shotgun blasts.
Yeah, I think the police kind of described it as a gangland style shooting. They were just sprayed with the shotgun blast.
But that means something, right? The 4 guys that are definitely in the mob are killed with shotguns. The one guy that may have a tenuous connection, but they don't believe is in the mob, just so happens to be killed with the handgun.
Yeah.
Coincidence or not? It seems strange.
I think you're onto something there. I do. I think it was pretty ruthless to shoot down the 4 the way they did, and maybe just do the execution style on Jack because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. But you can't leave him behind. You know, witness. Not going to leave that behind.
I know you wouldn't.
Not never.
So we talked about possible robbery. Police at a certain point pretty much ruled that out, right? For reasons that we've talked about. The drugs were left behind. The cash was left behind. And it wasn't like it would have been hard to take it. The safe was open. There's no one standing in your way. But there were other theories that involved robbery of something that wasn't in that room, when the police got there.
Exactly.
So there were some informants that came forward that claimed there were several kilos of coke in that safe. And it was those kilos that were the key. That's what was taken.
Those went bye-bye.
Yeah. And we'll leave the small amounts of marijuana and a little bit of coke and the $15,000 because this is the jackpot.
Yeah.
Now, I still don't understand why you leave the 15, but
Maybe they're trying to throw people off.
yeah, maybe. That would be the only reason.
Yeah.
Right? You're not playing Good Samaritan at that point.
No.
As the investigation continued, police were able to link Vincent, the pub owner, to a man named Stephen Flemmy. And Flemmy was a member of the Winter Hill Gang. And if you are a true crime fanatic,
Sure.
and have dabbled in any way with the mob, you've heard of the Winter Hill Gang.
Yeah. Hard to miss that one.
Police believe that the main targets of the murders were Vincent and his night manager, Jack. So all of this, pretty much the police's entire theory, was leaked to the press. The other thing that got leaked was that Jack Kelly was allegedly a member of one of Boston's top organized crime families, and he was dealing drugs because he was found with these 4 known mob people.
That didn't set well with one of his friends. He didn't like that perception being told about his best friend, Jack.
Well, for one thing, he said there was no evidence, right? That Jack had been involved in drugs, that he had been profiting from any type of drug deals. But this friend did admit, Gibbs, that at the very most, Jack may have been a fringe member of organized crime. And I guess it depends on what you mean by fringe, your definition of fringe. Is he saying that the mere fact that he was working an honest job as the night manager there puts him on the fringe of organized crime? You could say that.
Yeah, I think you could.
But if you tell me somebody's on the fringe of organized crime, I feel like they're doing business with
They
them.
might be
They're
dipping
doing
a little bit more than just working as a night manager.
That's what it, yeah. But I don't know what this guy meant. This friend of Jack's went on to say in the press that, Jack didn't have a new vehicle. He wasn't sporting new clothes, being flashy around town. So he wasn't doing the Goodfellas after the
big heist.
Lufthansa heist.
Yeah.
Some of them were, some of them weren't. It seems like all the ones that were being flashy around town,
Yeah.
when De Niro told him not to, they got whacked.
They did. The best one was the hanging in the freezer truck. I like that one.
One of your signature moves, I
like
take it. Now, the friend said he was driving a gold Cadillac Eldorado, but it was about 3 years old. And it wasn't his, it was Vincent's. It was all dented, it was scratched up. Vincent was letting him drive it. This guy said Jack never hid anything. If he was a drug dealer, I would have known. Jack isn't going to wear moccasins if he can wear $150 shoes. And he left home wearing moccasins that day.
Well, you like your moccasins. Or
What the hell's a moccasin?
Or your moccasins.
Or you just said the same thing.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
Sometimes clearly I do, twice.
Moccasins. I'm not sure that's the first time you've done that either.
You're not taking that out, are you?
No, I'm not.
That's nice.
I haven't had moccasins for quite some time.
Haven't you?
But back in the day,
Yeah.
I was a moccasin wearer.
You were the moccasins.
I used to love me some mini Tonkas.
Minnetonka.
Did you ever have some mini Tonkas?
No.
They were these really cool moccasins, and they had these rubber pegs on the bottom for like the sole.
Like pressure point?
Almost.
Really?
They were very comfortable. I liked them.
Did you buy them down in, were they real?
I don't know. I bought them at the mall.
Oh.
Where do you think I went?
Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody handcrafted them.
No, I bought them at the mall. You can buy them anywhere.
Would you rather wear those or a $150 pair of shoes? Well, today it would be like a $400 pair of shoes.
Yeah, I don't know. Those mini Tonkas were kind of expensive, I think.
Oh, were
if
they?
I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I'm going with the more expensive because I don't wear them today.
Well, that's true.
So
There you go.
this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Listen, TCatters, if there's something out there that's interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp Online Counseling can help. They offer licensed professional counselors who are specialized in issues such as depression, anxiety, and so much more. You can connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment at your own time and at your own pace. Anything you share is confidential, and it's so convenient. They have secure video and phone sessions. They also have chat and text options as well. And if for some reason you're not happy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time for no additional charge. And best of all, this is a truly affordable option. TCAT Unsolved listeners even get 10% off your first month with the discount code TCAT. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/TCAT. Fill out a questionnaire that helps them assess your needs, but also helps them match you with a counselor you will love. That's betterhelp.com/TCAT. Now I think we have to dive into some suspects. The Boston Police Department and investigators had several suspects. Individually, they also thought that some of these people could have worked together. They could have teamed up in this murder.
I think with some of their associations to organized crime that could have happened.
When there are some, well, there's one really big name. And that first suspect was James Whitey Bulger. Famous guy, infamous. You know, he was the leader of the Winter Hill Gang, an Irish-American crime family operating in Boston, around the Boston area. I think most people know who he is. There have been a lot of movies made either specifically about him or patterned after him. I think Nicholson's character in The Departed is somewhat patterned after him.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then I thought Johnny Depp was really good in the movie where he actually played Bulger.
I did too.
How much is an hour of your time worth? Whether you're a realtor, lawyer, accountant, or even a content creator, Stamps.com gives you the ability to focus your time on what you do best, not on tedious mailing and shipping tasks. Print stamps, shipping labels, or certified mail forms in seconds. More than 4 million customers have relied on Stamps.com to make their lives easier. Go to Stamps.com/audio for a special offer. No contract, cancel anytime. That's Stamps.com/audio.
You know, he changed his look. He had the accent. I thought he did a good job.
That's the one time I thought for sure you look better than Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny, he didn't look that great in that movie.
No.
But Bulger's a character, and he's kind of, over periods of time, reached almost mythical proportions in the media. You know, he was on the run for a long time. We'll talk about, here in a minute, but he's definitely been sensationalized a lot.
Oh, for sure.
By the media, and I think that happens sometimes where, I think Gotti, they used to do that to Gotti.
Yeah.
The Teflon Don. This guy was ordering people to be killed. He was, but they're talking about him on Inside Edition.
Yeah. Like he's somebody famous.
Yeah. Like he's an actor or something.
Meanwhile,
I never understood that.
They both were, you talk about Gotti, you talk about Bulger. They were really good at invading the police, right?
You mean getting their hooks into somebody or multiple people inside the force?
So they always knew. So because they did that, they could evade the police.
Yeah.
When they needed to.
And I think, Gibbs, it was thought that Bulger had beef with Vincent, mostly around the fact that Vincent's crew was selling drugs and not giving Whitey his cut that he was supposed to get.
Right. Well, if you are the leader of the top gang in Boston and somebody that is supposed to be part of your organization is not giving you a cut of what you're doing, that can't be good.
Well, I was thinking, what's going to make somebody like Whitey Bulger upset? Messing with his money.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make him upset. You're not giving him his money. You're cheating him.
We know how much he loved his money.
Yeah. On August 19th, 1999, Whitey Bulger made the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list. He was wanted for racketeering under RICO. He had a laundry list of things, Gibbs. 19 counts of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, extortion, conspiracy to commit extortion, money laundering, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and narcotics distribution. So that kind of cracks me up a little bit, right? They're going to get you on 19 counts of murder, but then that conspiracy to commit murder.
Don't forget that.
So every charge has a conspiracy to commit kind of tacked onto it.
They're making sure they can throw away the key for good.
Exactly. Bulger was on the run for a long time. And it goes back to what we were talking about, him being sensationalized and this kind of mythical figure.
Yeah.
Because he was able to elude police for so long, they didn't catch up to him until June of 2011.
Yeah, it was in San Diego, I believe.
16 years he was on the run before he was arrested, and then he was murdered in prison just last year, October 2018.
He'd be a big one to take out for some prison cred.
Right. You and I talk about that a lot. I'm surprised anybody was even allowed to be around him. Who wouldn't want to take out Whitey Bulger,
right,
and immediately get that prison cred, like you said?
Especially if you were from one of the rival gangs, one of the Italian mob gangs inside that prison. You probably did it just out of respect for your fellow organization.
No, I think that's true, but then even more so, I would think that his Irish mob gang cronies would want him dead.
That's true too.
Because, he did turn on them. He gave them up.
Loyalty's everything, man. And he threw it out the door.
And that comes into play here when we talk about the next suspect, Stephen, the rifleman Flemmy.
So let's stop there for a minute. What a name.
The rifleman. Chuck Connors.
Yeah.
Do you remember that show, The Rifleman?
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough to watch it, but I knew you'd remember.
Oh, that hurt.
You just walk right into it.
I had my Rex West costume on.
You just walked right into
I had
it.
my boots on, my hat, Rex West. Now
I don't need to know your costume for Friday night.
Now
okay?
I got my pillow. I got my Rex West pillow.
Are you saying pillow?
Rex West pillow?
Pillow.
Pillow? You put your head on it?
Yeah. I'm saying it with an I. It sounds like you're saying it with an E.
Pillow?
Pillow.
It's not pillow.
It is pillow.
Is it pillow? It is pillow. I
It
say
is-
pillow.
You do say
Like
it.
I say wash.
Warsh. You say Warsh.
Mm-hmm.
It is a cool nickname.
Rex West?
No, the rifle.
Oh, yeah.
Rex is cool too. Flemmy was out of Roxbury, Massachusetts. He was a hitman for the Winter Hill Gang, and it's thought that he was not happy with Vincent. He was also not happy with Jack because they had not cut him in on some of the deals they were making, so he took care of them. And he took the drugs, resold them, and again, like you said, left the small amounts behind in the safe to confuse investigators. The thing about Flemmy was he was also an informant for the FBI. Ultimately in 1999, he turned state's evidence, which helped lead to the arrests and convictions of Winter Hill gang associate Kevin Weeks. So you have these two suspects, Whitey and Stephen Flemmy, both mob guys.
Yeah.
Both guys that later turned on the mob, which you're not supposed to do.
It's like one of the big oaths, right?
That's it. I think that's the biggest one.
Right.
Right? So the next suspect, and I think this is one that probably most people believe had some part to play in the shootings, is a guy by the name of Nicholas Famia. He was out of East Boston. Nicholas was a husky boy.
Easy.
He's a tad bit overweight. He had a lot of bad habits. He was into cocaine. He was into a lot of other drugs as well. This was a guy that liked to be seen as important. So he made sure that he dressed the part. He was flamboyant.
Kind of like Gotti then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Gotti was a little flamboyant for sure. But this guy was no Gotti, but he wanted to project himself as though he was. It was thought that he and his associates robbed the pub for the drugs. At the time of the murders, he wasn't a part of the Winter Hill Gang, but he did later join them. But it was said that he and Whitey Bulger didn't get along. They had a very rocky relationship.
But during this time, Nicholas was being looked at as a suspect for the pub murder and robbery. And because Nicholas was hanging out at the headquarters of the Winter Hill Gang, Whitey wanted to make sure that people knew that Nicholas had nothing to do with those murders, because he didn't want it to reflect back on the Winter Hill Gang and didn't want to bring attention to the headquarters by police and other agencies putting surveillance onto the headquarters. So he had everybody lock it down. Don't talk about it. Don't even get that rumorville going that Nicholas could have been a suspect in that murder.
Well, and some of that I think he did for his own sake, right? Whitey Bulger didn't want any surveillance. He didn't want an increase in surveillance because of this guy, because they didn't want police looking at him.
That's the bigger picture for sure, right?
I'm not sure he cared that much about Nicholas. He just didn't want it to blow back on him or the gang.
Exactly.
So Nicholas had a girlfriend that he lived with who just happened to be friends with Stephen Flemy's mistress.
So this guy's got all kind of ties in, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, when you're talking about the mob, there's a lot of tie-ins, right?
Yeah.
The branches are kind of weaving in and out of each other.
Probably a tight circle anyway.
Yeah, I would assume it is. But apparently they lived in an apartment that was co-owned by a man named James Martirano. And this guy is also going to be a suspect in the case. We'll talk about him in a minute. Now, we talked about Nicholas joining the Winter Hill Gang. He wasn't a gang newbie.
No.
Right? He had been in a gang before.
He had experience.
Yeah. He had worked for a guy named Joseph Barboza.
And I think the reason he left Barboza's outfit was that the Winter Hill Gang needed somebody with some good muscle that knew how to take care of certain situations, and they recruited him in. And that's the reason he started working for Whitey and Whitey's gang.
And I think specifically for extortion and protection rackets, right? That's an area where you can definitely use some muscle, and he must have fit that bill.
But, him and Whitey just didn't see eye to eye, and eventually he would end up leaving the Winter Hill Gang, and he moved on to another crime family.
And it kind of makes him an anomaly, Gibbs, because I think very few people were able to get out of the Winter Hill Gang alive.
Yeah.
Or leave and not be killed later. Nicholas was one of those guys. He got out, and they didn't come after him. He wasn't murdered in some type of retribution. But I think authorities really thought Nicholas was part of these murders. The FBI had been surveilling the Winter Hill Gang as much as Whitey didn't want it. They knew who he was. They were watching him and his gang. And the FBI even produced a report suggesting that Nicholas had in fact been one of the triggermen in the Blackfriars killings. But they could never prove it. Right? They never had enough ironclad evidence to put him in front of a jury, and he was later shot to death during an alleged robbery of an auto body shop in East Boston on Condor Street in December of 1983.
Yeah, the shop owner shot him to death. But the way the shop owner shot him to death has a few people questioning, was it really a robbery gone bad? Or was this more of a execution? Because he wasn't shot in his face. He was shot in the back of his head while he was sitting down at a desk. It seems a little strange to be killed that way during a robbery gone bad.
It does. I'm thinking of self-defense scenarios where somebody breaks in, they're trying to rob you. I can't think of a single one where they sit down at a desk and you're able to get the kill shot from behind.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you were hiding, I don't know. I'm sure there's some scenario that makes sense, but not many. Another suspect and a name we just talked about was James Martirano. This guy was a contract killer.
How much money you make for that?
I don't know.
Whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, whatever your rate is. He worked with the Winter Hill Gang and later worked at the same crime family that Nicholas went to.
Didn't you do a episode on a famous contract killer?
I did. Richard Kuklinski.
Yeah.
It's technically your episode too, although you were not on it.
I was not on. I was not invited.
You were not.
No. We should remake episode 2.
I've thought about that.
Just to put me in for my normal 30 words.
I've actually thought about us redoing it.
Yeah.
It's thought that he is one of the 3 shooters that Whitey Bulger contracted out to make the hits. Because we talked about it, right? Whitey's not happy.
Right.
He's not getting his cut. He's going to hire some hitmen to go in and take care of these guys.
Do what needs to be done.
Now, later on, Martirano would move over to the same crime family that Nicholas had. It made a lot of sense because his brother James was pretty high up in the family. So it made sense for him to be there.
Sure.
He was convicted in 1995 of racketeering, extortion, and conspiracy to commit murder in other cases. Another suspect was William Lorardi. This guy was a drug dealer from Lynn, Massachusetts. He was later convicted of drug dealing, and he too turned state's evidence in the trial of Stephen Flemmy and others in 1987. But in 1978, William Lorardi was associated with a man by the name of Robert Italiano of East Boston. They became the top 2 suspects during the initial homicide investigation of the murders at the Blackfriars Pub. It was on July 12, 1978, police arrested them both and charged them with all 5 murders. At the time, William was 32 years old and Robert was 36. The trial was held the next year, and the prosecution laid out their case. William and Robert were among a group of men who went to the Blackfriars that night with the objective of stealing cocaine and cash. They had a witness at the trial who testified a local art thief by the name of Miles Connor told William that a large drug deal with cocaine was going down on June 27th at the pub. But this is something that Miles would deny. You know, he came out and was pretty vocal about the fact that this never happened, most likely out of fear for his own life.
I would think.
Because he didn't want to get whacked.
He knew somebody might come after him.
Prosecutors said the robbery turned deadly when one of the victims made a quick movement.
You know, we've seen that in movies before, you know, when you can feel the tension and all of a sudden somebody makes a quick movement when they didn't mean to really go for their gun, but just some kind of jerk movement. All of a sudden everybody overreacts. The next thing you know, they start shooting. I remember that movie with Will, the guy that plays Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Will Smith.
Will Smith is in that movie where he has the FBI, CIA kind of go into the building with the Italian mob in the back because they want the tape. The senator and the CIA wants his tape of where this guy was killed by a pond. You don't know which one I'm talking about, do you?
Mm-mm.
It's got that's a good movie too. Well, anyway, they all have their guns out, and somebody around the corner jerks his gun just a little bit, and everybody thinks he was gonna shoot, so they all shoot.
Going off.
Yeah, that's a good movie too.
Must not be great. You can't remember it.
It's got what's that guy's name? Man?
I don't know.
He's been in so many movies. He's been in westerns.
You couldn't even get Will Smith.
Man, what is the guy's name? Shit, he's famous.
Famous.
Oh yeah, Gene Hackman. It's got Gene Hackman in it.
Okay.
Gene Hackman plays this retired CIA retired CIA
Jesus Christ.
retired CIA agent gone rogue, and somehow he ends up helping out Will Smith, who's an attorney, and they go after this very bad senator that's kind of running his own rogue CIA group. It's got the mobs involved. It's good. Never seen it, huh?
Not that I remember. If you could tell me the name of it, maybe.
It's got Angelina Jolie's dad.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Her dad is in the movie.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name right now. John Voight.
Yep, John Voight.
Yeah, it's got John Voight. He plays the bad senator.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right, well, check it out.
All right.
I don't know where I was going with all that at this point.
All right, so quick movement. The bullets start flying, right? This is what the prosecution is putting out there.
Right.
William took the stand to testify in his own defense. He denied the allegations, actually said he was attending a wake in East Boston and was with his girlfriend on the night of the murders, which she backed up.
Of course.
Of course, she gave him an alibi. He said on the stand about the Blackfriars, I don't know nothing. I didn't shoot anybody. I couldn't. It was on April 9th, 1979. The jury, they only deliberated for a few hours. Then they told the judge that they had reached a decision in this trial.
Normally a good sign for the accused.
Normally. Jack Kelly's sister was sitting in the courtroom waiting to hear what the jury decided. The jury found William and Robert not guilty. And Jack's sister later told the Boston Globe that those two men just looked at her and smiled after hearing they were not guilty. She said she knew right then all hope was lost in finding and sending her brother's killer to prison. She also said she really never felt the police tried that hard to find the killers and to put together a solid case. She said she feels the pain every day of losing her brother. And I get that feeling. Yeah. I just couldn't figure out, Gibbs, where the evidence was to put these guys away.
Well, if you don't have any weapons, you don't have any video surveillance.
You have a witness saying that a local art thief told William there was a bunch of cocaine.
Yeah.
That's not going to put anybody away.
No.
Actually, today, I'm not even sure if you could
Go to
use
trial?
that. No, I'm not even sure if that person would be allowed to testify because they didn't hear it firsthand, right?
Right.
Isn't that hearsay evidence?
I think so.
I don't know. I just couldn't find in the research where the prosecution really had enough or much of anything. It seems like they had a lot of speculation,
Right.
theories as to how they believed it went down. I just didn't see where they had the evidence that connected these two men to the murders.
And I don't know 1978, 79 when the trial was, but
Yeah.
I don't know how eager a jury would be to convict somebody that was
A
associated.
bunch of gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you're bringing up a good point. You know, that it was a different time.
sure. There was some,
There's no anonymity
no.
when you're on the jury. They can find out who you are.
Right.
And I think man, you bring up a great point. You're really putting yourself out there
Yeah.
to convict, a mob person or, somebody that kills people for a living. That takes a lot of guts to do. It really does.
Because you know how the mob works. I mean, they know who's on the jury. They're reaching out to people that know those people or know their family. Say, hey,
It gets back to them.
yeah,
Might be in your best interest to vote not guilty.
exactly.
Yeah, who knows? William died in 2001. Robert died in 2006. Neither of them have ever admitted being involved in the murders or even being at the pub that night. The district attorney from 78, back when these murders occurred, said that the shooting stands out from other crimes in the city. It was a mass murder, and those are rare in Boston. However, when they do occur, they're usually solved. The prosecution wins in court and suspects are sent to prison. That makes the Blackfriars case an exception. To this day, the case remains unsolved, but I still think many people believe that the events that happened that night are connected in some way to organized crime. Whether it's the Winter Hill Gang, whether it's another family, whether it's a rogue drug dealer that found out that there was a sizable amount of cocaine.
Right.
It's tied to crime somehow.
Yeah. I mean,
Joe Smith didn't come in and kill 4 mobsters and a quasi-mobster.
No, he wouldn't know how. But, when you look at the suspects.
Yeah.
That's the one thing they all had in common was they belonged to some gang at one point.
Well, so that tells you something. That's where the police's mind is.
Right.
It's where their mindset is. They believe that it has to be somebody connected to organized crime.
Right.
The pub itself is long gone. The building that once held the pub is now a bunch of office space. And there's some retail stores like Dunkin' Donuts.
Get your coffee and some donuts.
And a little bit of history about a mass murder that happened in 1978. The Blackfriars murders. This incident is featured on Boston.com as a mob tour attraction.
I bet it's one of the destinations people want to see if they're on that type of tour. They want to see some of the old history of the gangs in that area.
Yeah, and Boston has some tradition of that. And
they sure do.
I think there's a lot of people that are fascinated by the mob. And
yeah,
if you are one of those people, it would be something you'd want to check out. Now, what are you doing? You're staring at a Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah.
Where as somebody tells you, this is where the pub once stood?
That'd be weird.
To me, that's not...
It's not doing anything for me.
No, it's not doing anything for me. If the pub is still there...
And you can walk down and stand in that office room.
Sure.
With the lights out, door closed.
Yeah, I'll do that. But for somebody to drive me by and say, this Dunkin' Donuts was once the...
Right.
I guess...
You would just say, pull over so I can get me some Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's it, Gibbs. That is the case of the Blackfriars Pub Massacre.
Yeah.
We got some voicemails.
Let's hear it.
All right, let's do them.
Hi, guys. Really enjoy the program. I'm an electrician. Listen to you all day while we're at work. I just turned into a show called Mission Declassified. The story is of the Axeman of New Orleans. I've never heard about it before. I wondered if maybe you guys did, and maybe you could do a future podcast on it. Anyway, keep your own time ticking. Thanks.
Man, Gibbs, when he said we, I thought he was on board.
I did too.
He was going to join us in studio for the Axeman.
I was like, all right.
Axeman's actually a pretty famous case.
Yeah, it's on the list.
And it has been on the list. I don't know why we haven't done it.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You're getting there?
Yeah.
Working on it. As far as unsolved cases go, it's pretty famous. So I know we'll do it.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. My name is Brittany, and I'm a licensed therapist in Indiana. I've been a listener of your show for about a year now, and I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate your guys' content and sense of humor. And Mike, I wish you were my dad. You just have a lot of great things to say about your daughters, and you obviously care so much about them. So I bet you're an awesome dad. But keep up the great work, guys. I'm going to continue listening to you, and I just really appreciate you. Thanks. Bye.
Wow, that was a great voicemail. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who want you to be their daddy.
Yeah. I am a great dad, and I have a coffee mug to prove it.
You do.
I think it says super dad or number one dad or something.
I think you got the pajamas too.
Pajama. Hey, don't think I didn't hear what you said too. I got what you said. But I do. And I know you do too. It's something that I've always taken really seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't take everything that seriously.
No, but you do with your daughters.
Oh my gosh,
shows,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I definitely take them seriously.
But you got good kids.
Hi guys, this is Lona again from Ohio. So I was just listening to your episode on Jesse Pomeroy. I did the conversion, and Fergie, you were right. It wouldn't just be like a few $1,000s. It would be approximately like almost $10,500 in this day and age. Just wanted to send that out. Thanks so much. Appreciate the show. Stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Bye, guys.
All right, that's Lana.
Sure.
Last week, I butchered her name.
You did.
Called her Lana.
I know.
Lana?
She's just up the road, man.
I know. And she's such a huge supporter. She loves the show. But it's Fergie Day today.
It is.
Not only am I a great dad, but she said I was right.
I know.
Which means you were wrong.
I know. But I didn't have a calculator in my hand either.
I don't get a lot of those. So I have to soak them in.
Do I technically know she's right just because she said she was right?
I don't remember that. Jesse Pomeroy's been quite a long time ago. But
did she carry that one over when she calculated? I don't know.
You with your abacus doesn't make me feel great about you handling my money.
Wow.
I think a man that needs an abacus is it's scaring me a little bit.
But it's working for you.
It's working.
Hello, Peepaw Fergie and Peepaw, the other one. I really enjoy your podcast, and I listen to it basically every day at work. And also, Gibby, I'm so sorry I blanked on your name because I just love you so much. But anyway, I love you guys. You get me through my work day. I just think that you're so great. I personally prefer the unsolved episodes because I like to hear more from the victim side as opposed to listening to the serial killers that are just awful and gross and evil. And anyways, thank you so much for everything that you do, and I really appreciate you, and thank you for getting me through my work day in a collections agency. So thanks, bye.
It is your day.
I thought it really was my day when she said, "Oh, and the other one."
The other one.
But then
forever known as the other one.
She was just so nervous about saying your name, Gibbs.
Yeah.
Because she loves
so hard
you.
to say.
She loves you.
Gibby.
Gibby. You know, I'd have laughed if you'd have messed it up.
Yeah, that would have been bad. I mean the other guy.
The other guy. That was funny, though.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you.
No need to be nervous when you call in.
No.
But we appreciate it. We appreciate the fact that you even take the time to call in.
Yeah, love it.
Yep. We appreciate everyone listening. Keep telling your friends. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah. When you're working at that bar in Boston.
You're the night manager.
Night manager. Call some friends up.
Don't tell those friends because they're not going to be around for very much longer. So, I think this episode's different, right? Because the victims, normally our victims are salt of the earth, the whole life in front of them. Yeah. There's always that stuff going around on social media where people are in our group. People are talking about, if something happens to me, please don't let Mike and Gibby say, I was the best person in the world. Yeah. Because I'm not.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of people talking like that. But, our victims, a lot of times, that's what people say about them.
Sure. Absolutely. They do.
But not here, right? These were not good people.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying they should have lost their lives, but they were gangsters. They could have been killers. I don't know if they were.
Yeah.
They were doing some shady stuff for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Jack's association was with
I don't know about Jack. It's just one of those things. It's a different type of story when you have a different type of victim.
Exactly.
And I kind of liked it. It was different because we normally are. Now we didn't have as much background. That's the problem.
No,
you're not going to have the backstory on these victims because you're not going to have a bunch of family coming out and saying, "Oh, this person was great. They swept off their neighbor's driveway." So
I don't even do that, man.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's it. That's it for another episode of True Crime All Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Hey folks, don't forget about BetterHelp. No matter what struggles you're facing, they can connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. And it's so convenient. They have so many different options and ways to connect with your therapist. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. True Crime All the Time Unsolved listeners even get 10% off your first month with the discount code TCAT. So why not get started? Simply go to betterhelp.com/TCAT and fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a counselor you'll love today.